We'll go get Ambrose, go see the show. Okay. Alright, you ready?
You know what I mean? Like.
Hi everyone, welcome to Young People Talk About the Theater episode 1. I'm Ryan Martell, and today we're going to be hanging out with Ambrose Cappuccio and talking to him about his production of Naked. We're going to go pick him up from work right now, so let's go. Alright, so we're going to go get Ambrose from work right now. Ambrose is my first friend ever at Cal Arts. He's great.
Hi!
This is Mary.
Hi. I just finished. We just put the ladder upstairs and now we're all done.
Good. So you want to grab your stuff and just get going?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
Our first
I'm
one.
excited. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then, but then again, it's like also, you know, you're constantly asking yourself, like, why? Why did I get involved with theater? What made me want to do it? It's really exhausting.
And where do you feel like you're at right now?
I'm at a place where I'm just doing it because if it's too late to turn back, I'll just die. I won't make it back to the cave where I was.
But what do you want? If you guaranteed you could just make it back and just make it.
No.
Great.
Yeah. What a waste of time. Because then you see like the older actors who are like barely in it and like getting expensive roles and have representation, and then you're like, oh, they're just doing this, and then they're like, oh, fuck it if it sucks. You know, it's no big deal at all.
Yeah.
And then they're looking at us like, why are you guys obsessing so much? Just do the show. We should cross this way. Yeah, a really long time to be dedicated to this kind of thing. Not.
You're feeling it.
Oh, I'm feeling it.
So do you feel nervous about doing the show with all these people? Or like, do you get nervous at this point since you've been doing it for so long?
I feel like I'm more nervous after. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like just before the show I have a lot of time, and then like maybe right before I go on stage it's like, ooh, am I ready? Am I ready? Am I gonna do this right now? I don't know. Am I gonna do this? And then I go out in that minute. But and I start having fun and stuff. But then afterward, I think I feel like nervous about like the audience's like interaction with me. Does it get weird? Maybe I kind of am a little bit. I put them off a little bit because I keep my head down and like I'm afraid of like eyes or like, oh, you did so good. I don't know how I feel about those yet or ever.
Yeah. Have you? Is that normal for you in a process, or is that?
I think I'm gonna get over it with just more shows in my life.
But
I
up
think it's
till now,
yeah, you start to obsess about your performance, and then sooner or later I'll be like, oh, chuck it into the sea.
And how do you feel? Just like how was work? How was the rest of your day before coming out here?
You know what? It's always been like the more busy it is, the better the show is. For me. Like if I'm like waiting all day, it sucks because it like gets. Yeah. I don't know. It gets like. I don't know. You get in your head and then, but if you like do something just for the show, then you're like, oh, I'm into it. Yeah. I'm totally into it. Like, oh, these, it always fills in all at once.
Should we move down? All right.
Yeah.
This is Chicago and Franklin.
Tomorrow I have to leave it.
This is a Purple Line Express.
Doesn't go that way. If I'm super late and the bus gets here in like a couple minutes, if I'm late, I'll take the bus. But we're not gonna take the bus because the walk is something I kind of prefer.
But that beard, it just took me out of
Patch of skin, brushed beard. In the end of the play, she literally dies for like a 5-minute monologue in front of me, and she's saying like, I'm trying to tell you a million times, you're not the reason I attempted suicide. I did it because I wanted to die. Definitely worth the walk. So usually it takes about 15 minutes, knowing I have about 15 minutes to get to the theater, I'll start warming up because nobody's walking by, and there are no, like all the cars have their windows up, so I'm not really worried about being loud. If someone thinks I'm crazy, whatever. But it's less traffic and kind of a place to like ground my voice and work on my diction and get through the lines, so that when I get in the theater space, just kind of like use my body or work on my body. And that's it.
All right, let's keep going.
All right.
Going to the theater.
Going to the theater.
Oh my God, this is the entire backstage.
This is the entire backstage. This is all you get. You got a shelf if you need to put stuff up on it.
Oh my God.
Clothes that we all change out of and into.
Where's your costume?
My costume's right here. It's a nice little coat that's very soft. And then these intense corduroys and suspenders. This is where
This is where you do your
we
makeup?
prep. This ladder does go up to some things up here, which is actually a storage unit.
Okay.
And then the light. And then this is basically it. Other than that, and then you totally, like, I just want to see how we enter. And that's it. Yeah. That's it.
So when you're not on stage and you're just like hanging out, are you sitting in that little space back there? But when you're like waiting 20 minutes before coming on, are you just sitting back there?
No, I'm sitting in the lobby. Everybody's in here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
But warming up here is really nice. And then, of course, this stage.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to show us, Ambrose, before we go chill?
No, I think that's basically
That's the
the entire space.
Alright.
Back there is just an alleyway.
Alright.
Alrighty. And then this is like pictures of all the stuff they've done in the past 25 years. There is the booth up there. It's a client booth. I don't know if the restaurant will be weird about it, but you can do it through the window.
Cool. Thank you, Ambrose.
Thank you!
Break a leg.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh my
Thank you,
God.
thank you.
Good job,
man.
Ambrose.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. I'm just gonna do this, please.
All right, Ambrose.
Hi.
Here we are. We made it back to the house.
We made it back to the house.
So let's talk.
Let's cheers.
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 To naked.
Naked.
I love
Clothes.
how there actually was a title of the show moment in the show.
Oh yeah.
She's like, I'm naked.
She says it.
So, for our audience members who have not just seen the show, can you give us just a little context, like briefly, what the show's about, when it was written, who you're playing, who wrote it?
Okay, so 1922, Rome. Pretty religious. So you have my character, a naval lieutenant who goes from port to port in different countries around Italy, meets people such as a beautiful young governess, and then we set up this rendezvous, and then her and I get a little too involved. And then in the garden, we end up making love. And then I ghost it hardcore.
Oh, I see.
I ghost it really bad, and then she finds herself on the streets and tries to commit suicide.
And that's when the show takes place.
And so the show takes place after that because she met a journalist. The journalist wrote the article about it. We made it viral. And I'm the army dude who's like, oh crap, everybody thinks that like I am a total douchebag and like didn't have consent or like took advantage of her or whatever it is. All the blame in the media sends me my head down to this one place where she can be, so I can be like, I'm so sorry. Then the play takes place. Basically, the gist of the beginning and then the play, you can read it.
Yeah. Heard that. Who's it by?
Luigi Pirandello.
And he won the Nobel Prize, I found out today.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
And he also, but this is a one of the translations of many.
Yeah, it's
And,
Italian.
The play itself was written in Italian,
Is he Italian?
He's Sicilian.
Says-
Sicilian.
Oh man, yeah.
Which, was different. He was also an amazing filmmaker. He has a weird relationship with the ghost of his mother in a lot of his work. Obviously, his wife has impacted a lot of his work, especially after dealing with mental health.
Yeah.
He was a novelist before he was ever a playwright.
Oh wow.
And he wrote 6 Characters in Search of an Author, which
Right,
was his
that's
most
his big one. So
successful.
in working on the show, did you study context? Did you study his work? Like,
We
was
talked
that something
a-
you talked about as a company?
A lot of table work. We learned about Pirandello and and what's behind a lot of his work, which is mask work.
Oh, really?
He has this philosophy called the living mask, which is the mask of our face.
Oh.
And the mask of our face is constantly
Like
appropriate.
our actual face that we have. That's part of it.
The naked mask, the living mask, is constantly appropriating itself to
The situation.
the spaces that they're in. And that is, I think, why he decided to kill her at the end. She doesn't want to
Have that mask anymore. To be truly naked.
be truly naked. Yeah.
So why do you think Trapdoor decided to do this show? I mean, we've talked about how it's very out of context for their season. Like, they usually do more experimental
I think
stuff.
Obviously, there are plenty of options that I don't know about,
Yeah.
but this was one of them. Being a European play, which Trapdoor does love to do European plays,
Right.
was something exciting, but also this play was just a lot more of a straight play
Yeah.
than what they usually do. But there's something in the language and in the just what the play exists as that is also a little absurd.
Definitely.
And I
Yeah.
think that they were able to fly through that. And I think people are responding really interestingly.
Yeah.
I think they're listening to a lot of the lines about, like, it's weird how relevant it is.
Yeah,
Just like a
yeah.
lot of the lines about facts. Facts are what you make up.
Yeah.
Anybody has their own facts. Yeah. What lies outside of facts. And so it's very much like about that, which
Yeah.
we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And the line that always sticks with me is like, I wouldn't have that lust would have never sprung up in me if you didn't allow it.
Yeah,
or
yeah, I
wanted
remember
to.
that part too.
Because you see it in so many of the men in
Justifying,
power
yeah.
today. They're
Yeah.
just like, yes, it's gray area. Yes, and she says many times, I never consented. My body did,
Yeah.
but not my heart.
Yeah. So you have you noticed in audiences that's a big.
I hope they're listening.
Yeah.
Sometimes I peek through the curtain and I'll
Uh-huh.
stare at them. There's always some dude going,
Yeah.
some older guy. I can do this. I can stay awake.
Yeah.
But I do think people are definitely like resonating with what's going on and what's going on. But I think they also are understanding that no matter what, no matter how hard we search, no matter whoever supreme gets involved, we'll never know the truth. And that is, I think, the point of the play is that you could have this giant frenzy. You could be in the room
Yeah.
with all of them,
Yeah. And no one
and
is
still
listening.
no one knows what's going on.
How do you know like what the audience response is to the project? Like word of mouth, or do you
Word of
know?
mouth.
Do you feel like you know?
No, I feel like I'm not really sure what they all get out of it. I hear a lot about, oh, these men are doing these things, how difficult it is to sit through a lot of these guys not listening. But what I don't hear a lot about is the connection to political ties. The cast is the ones talking about that.
Yeah,
We're wondering, and
interesting.
if Grotti wanted to take on Kavanaugh one night, he could. If he wanted to
Right.
play that stupid kind of emotional,
Yeah.
it would be really interesting to watch
Yeah.
because that's kind of where he is. I would have never taken advantage. You didn't let me.
Yeah, yeah.
You made me do it.
Yeah. I mean.
And we would laugh, right?
Yeah. So in the context of other things that you've worked on, like whether things like CalArts or things like last year or whatever, where does this experience fit for you? Like how do you kind of think about it to yourself in terms of the work that you've done?
I consider this role a gift, a total gift. Just like Ambrose, here's a role where you have complex language, you have to focus on your body, you're somebody you're not, completely. You have nowhere to go. You have to stay honest and you have to stay truthful.
Right.
But you also have to be funny. I try new things every night for sure.
New stuff.
I'm wondering if like a little sip of Italian wine is gonna change things.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I rest, if I nap between scenes, if that'll change things. I'm wondering if I'm high energy the whole time, that'll change things.
Right. So you're just experimenting.
I'm always experimenting, and lately I've found that the more pressure I put on myself before I walk on, like the more physical activity that I do, the more comfortable I am on stage.
Yeah. Have you had any, like, I know when and maybe this is just like my personality, but I think you were kind of like this too. Like when I'm involved in a process, I always end up feeling like I get some kind of, it changes me, and I get some sort of like different like life epiphanies, or I don't know, like life lessons from the process, and I like always, and I get really into them, and like that's what I got from this thing, and that's why this was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you've had that from this show?
Yeah.
And what do you think
I think
it's been?
it's like sometimes as a failed man in a romantic situation, you never intended harm, but you were distracted, or you felt you had power over something, or whatever it is. But no matter what, making amends or fixing something, as a guy fixing something, or believing you could always actually have it fixed by the end, because you can. Why wouldn't you be able to? You can't give up.
Yeah.
You can fix it. You will always be able to, because you're a man.
Yeah.
And that feeling is something I'm starting to learn is like hamster wheel.
Yes.
It's like you are actually obsessing.
Yeah.
You're controlling, and you are not listening.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be able to let things go, because you can't be the hero aspect of everything. You made your mistake. You can't fix everything.
Yeah.
And you also need to just understand that you made the mistake and move on.
But I think it's interesting for actors and other artists that like it's through our work that we have these clarities.
Like
you know?
These little kernels of
Yeah.
wonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think about like it in the scale of Chicago theater,
Yeah.
I think it's a huge success when it comes to like the things I've seen in Chicago, because sometimes they don't get too experimental, or they like to keep with the classics.
Yeah.
And stay real. And sometimes they go really absurd. But I like that this was able to kind of meet in the middle a little bit.
I
And
agree.
just everybody was like, oh, it's a normal play. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ha ha.
Yeah, I
Very cool.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's an interesting. Yeah, I just think we're always kind of, that's a sweet spot, for sure.
It is a sweet spot.
Great. Do you have anything you would like to show and tell
Oh,
with
yeah.
us? You can go get it.
Do I have
on
it in
you.
my pocket? Do I? I don't know. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I got it.
The first show and tell of the series.
A is a dry, empty bottle of mascara that before the show, while my last name is Cappuccio and I am Italian, I would have a darker mustache if I was full Italian. And
There it is.
it's the true La
True show
Spiga
and tell.
to
Here we
darken
come.
the mustache, which is still dark from the show. But this is empty, and I'm wondering if...
Was it full at the beginning of the run? When did you
No.
buy this?
This was empty when I started too.
Was
it was
it?
just enough to keep me going.
I don't know.
No, that was given to me by Sophie, who was the makeup.
Oh, there you go. So you didn't have to self-finance.
And
but-
I do see a difference. And I'm proud of the difference. I feel much more La Spiga after I put on my mustache.
And the fact that you've used them up is just proof, physical proof that you've been doing a run.
I've been doing a full run. I think I'm going to
Full
keep
run.
this.
Yeah.
They're real. Which the
Is
whole
that what
play is
says
about
up there?
reality.
Real?
Yeah, they're real.
I love it.
Which is, works with the play, kind of.
Well,
It was a
thank
lot
you
of
so
fun.
much, Ambrose.
Thank
It's a
you.
true pleasure.
Ah,
Cheers.
This is so fun. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you next time.